Friday here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. It's not the preview of show officially because it's a Monday night game, but we'll still get you ready for Steelers Texans because we got to talk about, does a rock fight, which it very looks like it could be between these two teams, advantage the Steelers? Let's talk about that. We got Josh Taylor from KDK TV. Also, how the Steelers need to force CJ Stroud out of his comfort zone and our picks for the weekend, all here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Steelers, your daily Pittsburgh Steelers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Steelers podcast. I'm your host, Chris Carter, bringing you your daily dose of all things of the Pittsburgh Steelers. As always, you can find the show on your favorite podcasting apps and on YouTube. Like this video if you enjoy it. Subscribe to this YouTube channel to get all of your daily Monday through Friday episodes, as well as our bonus content. We thank you for making us your first listen every day because we're your team every day. And a reminder, the Locked On Steelers podcast is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is the #1 sports podcasting network in the world. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The Wildcard round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your Profit Boost pack every NFL playoff game day. As I said before, we're joined by the man himself, Josh Taylor. He's in the building from KDK TV here in Pittsburgh. Josh, we got our crossover Thursday done with our man, John Hickman from Locked On Texans, and it seems like something that you and I often talked about over the years that you've been on this show with me is that the Steelers are ready for rock fights. They that was what they were designed to do from 2019 to 2024. And now it seems like they have a team that doesn't need to win with a rock fight thanks to Aaron Rodgers and the improvements in the offense. But with the Texans defense being as good as it is, it looks like it could be a rock fight. The question to you is, does that give the Steelers an advantage, or does that play into the Texans' hands if it is a rock fight?
I think it gives the Steelers an advantage because we have seen Houston get forced into situations where, their offense hasn't really taken off the ground. And here's the thing, and it comes down to a couple different things for me. And for one of them, Houston, of course, was 12-5 this season. Now, If you go back and look at their 5 losses, there were a lot of things that were in common with their 5 losses. In their 5 losses, I think only one of them they ran for more than 100 yards. So there are some things you look at and say, wait a minute, these are things that kind of play towards the Steelers' strength. So they ran for fewer than 100 yards, 4 of those 5 losses. I think one of those 5 losses, they were even in the turnover margin, and in 2 of them, they lost the turnover margin. Who is the team that loves to beat teams by winning the turnover margin?
Oh, that's the Pittsburgh Steelers.
That's their thing. That is their trademark. That is the Mike Tomlin staple for 19 years now. So there are some things that when you see certain things go wrong for Houston, they do kind of fit that blueprint that the Steelers have lived and died by for almost 2 decades now under Mike Tomlin. So for me, it does give them an advantage, but certain things have to happen a certain way to get to that point.
I agree with you entirely there. Also, in those rock fight games, when I'll say – if they score under 20, because what was your mark over the years? I remember you always had that stat.
Yes.
And the Steelers hold someone under a certain mark.
I think it was 24 points or less, and they went. It was even or positive turnover margin. I have to go back and look at it because I haven't updated it maybe since last season, but because they haven't done it as much as they have in previous years past. Like holding team under 24 now is a rarity for this group. But there was just this run where they were on, where if they held you to 20 or less, or maybe even 24 or less and won the turnover margin, they were beating you. That was, and if they ran the ball, they were almost certain to beat you. It was just like it was in the bank pretty much, and that was the thing that kind of caught my attention. And the line of demarcation for me when I started paying attention to it was when they acquired Minkah Fitzpatrick in I think it was 2019 when that trade happened, or 2018. That was when you started to notice, hey, they're winning to get a whole bunch of games the same way. But that was also when Minkah Fitzpatrick was one of the people that was producing a lot of those turnovers. It was either him or TJ Watt or, in some cases it was Cam Hayward or other people. But you saw that same blueprint happening over and over again where they hold you to 21, 20 or less, and they win the turnover margin, and they win those low-scoring one-possession games. And I think I saw this on a chart not too long ago as far as back to a certain point where the most one-possession wins in the NFL, just guess who has them? It's the Steelers, because that's how they win a lot of those one-possession games, by holding teams out of the end zone and winning the turnover margin.
Of course. It seems like it's the Mike Tomlin way. It's the blueprint for how hey, you may have the franchise quarterback. You may have the super roster that everyone says is unstoppable, but I'm going to make this game really annoying for you. And you're going to find out just how hard it is to win at sometimes, especially that it's interesting. You know, the unstoppable force meets the immovable object. The Steelers haven't won a playoff game in 8 years. They've never lost at home since 1991 on a Monday night football game. Which wins out there? And that's a fun thing to talk about. But back to the point at hand with the rock fight, the Texans with their number one defense. There's so many times when the Steelers had just a top 5 defense. They didn't need to score 20. If they could win with 13, 16, 19. When the Texans offense doesn't score 20 points, they are 1-5. In every single loss this year, they have been held to less than 20 points. Now, you could say, well, that just goes to show you that they can score. Sure, they've done that quite a bit. But their one win where they scored less than 20 was against the Titans. If this Steelers defense, and we'll talk more about how they do this with CJ Stroud, but if this Steelers defense is able to cause disruptions and keep this Texans offense from putting up points, and this is a Texans offense that when I look at the numbers, they rank 13th in points, 18th in yards. But when you look at that 13th in rushing yards per game, sure, they've been able to run the ball, but they're 28th in yards per carry. They're running by volume. If the Steelers can just make it so that they can't run the ball a lot, that plays right into their hands. The Steelers actually, of all things, they have a higher yards per play rate than the Texans. This is an area where the Steelers can find a way to win is by getting them into this rock fight. And I think the big thing about this rock fight is you still need a big play from a quarterback. And if there's a guy who can make a big play in a tight situation, Aaron Rodgers, CJ Stroud, you might take Aaron Rodgers in that spot.
I'll add something else to this too. And it's not something they've done all year, but they've done it probably the last 4 or 5 weeks. And the more you notice it, the more it starts to stick out. The Steelers are starting to get more plays on the field out of their offense. They're starting to extend drives longer. They're out snapping teams. They're getting more yards per play. They're starting to outlast teams in time of possession. So that now comes into it too, because when you saw how they outsnapped Baltimore and how they dominated time of possession, and then when they did against Detroit and what they did in some of these games that they won 4 out of those last 5, you see they're getting a lot of snaps. They're getting their defense off the field. They're keeping their offense on the field, and they're dominating time of possession. All that starts to mix in now. And if there's a time you want to figure that all out with everything else that we already talked about that they seem to already do, now feels like a good time to drop that into the mix and stir that all around.
I agree. This would be a really good time to do that. If they're able to possess the football and this defense is able to get some 3 and outs, that could be key. But I want to talk about that because I think the key to doing that is to make CJ Stroud uncomfortable, get him out of his comfort zone, take him off schedule. And that's a big part of this game. How do they do that? We'll talk about that next here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. Chris Carter, Josh Taylor, stick with us. We'll be right back. But first, we'll remind you this show is brought to you by Robinhood. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets change the game. It's people moving the action. So when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but I never had a dynamic way to play and apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by the people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood. Now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Back here on the Locked On Steelers podcast, Chris Carter, Josh Taylor. Josh, let's talk more about this. Oh, I want to throw this out here before we do continue. I'm going to do my best to do a bonus episode this weekend. It may come out Saturday, Sunday, but I want to do a bonus episode with the playoffs. We might continue doing this moving forward. And with the bonus episode, I want to put back in the call-in line because I haven't answered any calls in a while. So if you're a person who's got questions before this playoff games, call our call-in line today at 412-223-6644. Just like usual, leave your name, where you're from, and keep your question under a minute. Again, that's 412-223-6644. Got a question about the playoff game, the Steelers, draft, whatever, hit us up there. Again, leave your name, where you're from, and keep your question under a minute. You know who you are because a lot of y'all like to live 3-minute voicemails, and we ain't doing that on this show. So that being said, Josh, CJ Stroud has been good at protecting the football. The Texans have been good at protecting the football on the season. They actually are the second best team at protecting the ball. They average 0.71 turnovers per game. That's actually better than the Steelers, who average 0.88 turnovers per game. And a big part of that is they do a good job of keeping CJ Stroud on schedule. Now, CJ Stroud is not a Shedeur Sanders. He's not a guy that you need to do everything for to line up for him. But I do think CJ Stroud is a guy who isn't the dynamic threat that like a Josh Allen, a Lamar Jackson, a lot of the quarterbacks the Steelers have faced this season. He's still a threat. I'm not minimizing what he does, but I do think that if the Steelers are able to come in and take away that Texans run, and if this offense can give them a lead, and then all of a sudden CJ Stroud feels some pressure to put up some points and take some risky shots, that is out of his element. He's been good because they haven't had to be in that element. The Texans are a team that punts, I think, within the top 10 most times in the NFL. If you put them in a situation where they got to be aggressive, I think that's where CJ Stroud starts to lose his cool, maybe makes a few more mistakes, and your defense gets chances for those turnovers.
I'd also make the case that, their leading receiver is Dalton Schultz, the tight end. It's not one of their wide receivers. It's Nico Collins is number 2, but Dalton Schultz is the number 1 guy. And I think that kind of speaks to what you're saying about, them not being that much of an aggressive down the field team. And Nico Collins, 15.7 yards a catch, and Dalton Schultz is leading receiver. He's at 9.5. So this is not a team that's like routinely gashing teams with big plays in the passing game. So I feel the same way you do, that this isn't something that's completely terrible. And if you need to figure out how the Steelers do exactly what we're talking about right now, go back and watch some of the tape in this game against Baltimore. Because, don't get me wrong, the Ravens pulled off some ridiculous wide open throws in the second half of that game. There was one in the first quarter of that game. That's how they scored their first touchdown. Those were breakdowns on the back end. The thing that got missed while those back end breakdowns were happening was the work that was being done up front.
Yep.
Because what those guys were doing up front between the interior guys and Nick Herbig and Alex Highsmith and TJ Watt, those guys were giving Lamar Jackson a hard time throughout the course of the game. Now, if some of those breakdowns happened, it wasn't because the guys up front were getting to him. I mean, he completely avoided a sack between Alex Highsmith and Nick Herbig to let one go to Zay Flowers that ended up being a touchdown. The penultimate play before the 4th down conversion, he got out of a sack with Nick Herbig, and Nick Herbig brings Lamar Jackson down to the ground. This game is functionally over because it's 4th down and probably the state line, probably 4th down in CCAC for Baltimore to get going north. That's how effective that pass rush was. But there were just a couple of almost moments where they just couldn't get Lamar Jackson to the ground. But I think that was more because it was Lamar Jackson was the guy they were chasing, not because they just couldn't get a quarterback down. CJ Stroud's not Lamar Jackson as far as avoiding the rush. So now a couple of those almost plays, if you can turn them into completed sacks, if you can turn them into getting him down to the ground and instead of him escaping or throwing the ball away or finding the guy deep, now you're talking about situations where you're getting in the 3rd and long. Or if a couple of those happen on 3rd downs, those are those punting situations that you're talking about. And in a rock fight, what helps you a lot when you get into a rock fight? Punts and field position.
Yep.
Now you're getting to that whole different page where some of the people who look too much at stat sheets and bots saying that you need to go for it on this particular situation, this is what makes them itchy. But in rock fights like these, this might be the thing that puts you in position to win a game. So if you can get to that point and make a couple of those almost plays you didn't get last week and make them completed plays this week, now you're getting closer to that scenario.
I do think that there's a playbook for this to happen. I think that this is very much a doable scenario here, especially because, again, the Texans offense has not been efficient running the football. They have been, they rank 28th in yards per carry. They rank, as a team 23rd in yards per play. And listen, the Steelers have a lot of metrics that go against them. They're not they're 29th in total passing yards per and 26th in total yards. They have plenty of metrics that go against them as well. But I do think this is a chance for the Steelers to be able to get some things going for themselves against these Texans. The defense is going to be tough. I broke that down earlier this week. I think that the key for this defense, for beating the defense, and we'll talk more about this with Jenna Harner on Monday. But the defense, the two things that I look at, when I look at all the major statistics, I track several statistics each week when the Steelers play, Josh, from points, yards, passing yards, rushing yards per carry, yards per play, third down and long, third down and short, fourth down. I even do explosive play rates, all the way down the line. The two things that the Texans defense don't really do too well in, third and long, they rank 31st in that they give up 30.9% of third and 7 or longer. That's what I categorize as third and long. And explosive pass rate, they rank 18th in allowing explosive pass plays. And on top of that, and I put this in my film study that I did for the Post-Gazette on Wednesday, so they go to post-gazette.com for my Carter's critiques there. They rank in the bottom half of the league in receptions allowed on deep balls and yards allowed on deep balls, and in touchdowns allowed on deep balls. This is where I think Aaron Rodgers can truly hurt the Texans. This is a defense that plays aggressive, and they look to intimidate you. They look to hit you hard. They look to hit your quarterback a lot. But if you're able to come out and you're able to hit some big plays, you can put them in some tough situations where they're going to be saying, wait a minute, we just gave up that big play. We got to adjust here, there. And again, if you hit some big plays and your defense holds up and all of a sudden that's a 10-0, 14-0 lead, you could put CJ Stroud in a position where he isn't too keen on being and having to be aggressive when people know he wants to be aggressive.
And when's this team really at its best as far as getting after quarterbacks? When they can drop the most guys back in coverage and let that front four loose. And I don't care what anybody tells me. I expect to see Cam Hayward with his hair on fire every time he steps on the field between now and when this season's over. Because if the game against Baltimore was any indication, he's going to be chasing CJ Stroud like CJ Stroud's a bucket of water. Because it just – those guys, when they get that opportunity, whatever that combination of 4, maybe even 5 is up front, when they can turn those guys loose and let those guys occupy a zone downfield, that is when they are the most dangerous. So if you have to get CJ Stroud into that position where you're up by a couple of possessions and he's got a third and medium or a third and long, and you can turn, God forbid, you turn 56, 51, and 90 loose at the same time, good luck. That's where you are. That's where you want to be. And that's the position that if you're the Steelers, you're trying to find every way you can to orchestrate that kind of situation, because that's when the odds totally get tipped in your favor. Agreed.
It's something that I think that the Steelers can work in their favor. And another thing, too, the Texans, and this is John Hickman of Locked On Texans telling us this. He's pointed out, like, the Texans have been struggling. They're a bottom half of the league team, too, and when it comes to missed tackles, they miss their fair share. If you're not hitting if you can hit the deep ball and you can stretch them out and you force them to honor that, then all of a sudden you open up space for Kenneth Gainwell and Jalen Warren to catch those underneath passes and then do what they do best: make guys miss, pick up yards, and hurt you when you give them space, because they're so quick and they're so explosive and they're so fast. There's a blueprint, man. Blueprint on both sides of the ball for the Steelers to play their style of football at home in the cold on Monday Night Football against a team that likes to that plays indoors, team that's used to the warmth. There is a playbook for this to work, and the Steelers, I think you gotta hit it if you're gonna break that playoff drought streak.
And they got a quarterback who's be playing at home, and he loves throwing the ball in the cold. He's got an arm to throw a ball in the cold. The cold weather doesn't matter when he's putting the RPMs on it. And you also, by the way, and this is something that we keep talking about immediately after that game ended, because the first thought process is, oh, they get DK Metcalf back. If there's anything that helps your ability to make plays down the field, it's the fact you get DK Metcalf back. But let's go back to the Baltimore game again, because there were some things I thought that we learned that I don't think we expected to learn from that game. We learned that they still can push the ball down the field using certain guys, because Aaron Rodgers was pushing the ball down the field using Adam Thielen. He was doing it using Pat Freiermuth. That big play with Calvin Austin that eventually was the go-ahead touchdown that eventually won the game. They can push the ball down the field. And now here's the thing. If the Texans are caught in zone, that really puts them in a situation where maybe they're spreading the field. Maybe they're using Gainwell out in the pattern. So now that defense gets stretched in. And one of those two matchups, all Aaron Rodgers needs is one matchup that he knows he can win. And that's what he did that entire fourth quarter against Baltimore. He found the matchup he can win, and he got the ball to the right guy. If that becomes something that they can do early and often, it changes the entire complexion of this game.
I really do. I really do think there's a path here, man, on both sides of it, on both
Agreed.
sides of the ball. And it doesn't mean it's easy. It doesn't mean it's you're just gonna walk. You're just gonna walk in there and own them. But there is a path, and I think that this might be the best path that they've had in one of these early first round wild card, matchups. I mean, compared to beating the Ravens last year with Russell Wilson, or Josh Allen with Mason Rudolph, or the superstar unstoppable Chiefs with old man Ben Roethlisberger.
Is it Miami? Is it Miami in 2016? Maybe the last time they had it, looked this good.
I think it might be. It might be that. Maybe you could say the Browns, but again, you didn't even have a home crowd when you hosted that team.
Right.
This is, and that's the other thing. This is the first time that the Steelers will play a home playoff game in front of their own fans since that 2017-2018 loss to the Jaguars. It's a big opportunity. They got to strike at it. We'll get to our picks on Wildcard weekend on the other side of this break here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. Chris Carter, Josh Taylor. Stick with us. We'll be right back. But first, I want to remind you that this show is brought to you by FanDuel. Wildcard round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts you can apply to the bets that you like most. Open your profit boost pack first thing on game day and see what boosts you want to apply. The boosts give you more juice on the bets you already like instead of forcing you to bet something new. Every play feels bigger, and the boosts make your bets feel that way too. You make your picks, then apply your profit boost to go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost packs every NFL playoff game day. We're also brought to you by Rocket Money. Let's get real. Managing your finances can feel overwhelming between subscriptions you forgot about, bills that keep piling up, and trying to figure out where all your money actually goes each month. It's easy to feel like you're losing control. And who has the time to track every transaction and hunt down every hidden fee? That's where Rocket Money comes in, the personal finance app that helps you take control. It finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. I love how it tracks all my subscriptions and lets me cancel them right in the app in just a few taps. No more hunting down customer service numbers. The automatic transaction categorization is a game changer. I can finally see exactly where my money goes each month. You can set budgets, goals, and personalized insights and receive real-time alerts for large transactions, upcoming bills, and low balances. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/locked on. That's rocketmoney.com/locked on. rocketmoney.com/locked on. We are back here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. Chris Carter with Josh Taylor of KDKA TV. Got a lot to discuss here with these games coming up. Now, of course, we do got to talk about how we do the picks. Well, I've been trying to do the pigskin, find the pigskin pick'em results, but it does not let me get to them because the season ended. So I apologize for not having those rankings. I wish ESPN would let me find those right now. I've been just going all over them. But we do have, if you're wondering, we do have new picks because the pick'em only was for the regular season. We do have a bracket challenge. It's called the Pigskin Bracket Challenge. If you want to join it, Josh and I already have. I've sent Jenna the link. Jenna, you better join. As well as Mike, Allen, Nick, a lot of our guests. But it's just it's like March Madness. Just pick who you think is going to win each round. You set it up at the beginning, and then we see who's right. But you could join the Locked On Steelers Pigskin Bracket Challenge. It's free. Just go to ESPN. Just go to my Twitter page at Carter Critiques. I posted it Thursday evening going into Friday. I'll post it again later if you need to. And it's also in the Locked On Steelers Facebook group. Go there to sign up as well. But again, yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff here. I'm sad I can't see. I know Jenna beat me. That's the bottom line. Jenna whooped me. Pretty.
I was going to say, who didn't beat Jenna is the question, or who didn't lose to Jenna is the question.
Yeah, she was top 5 going into the last week. So pretty kudos to her for
shout out to her
what she was able to do. Yeah, why can't I find it? It's so frustrating. We got to move on. All right, let's get to our picks for this week. We're going to go through the wild card weekend, give you our thoughts on some of these matchups. A reminder that all odds, ends, and lines for these numbers are brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook better partner of the NFL. Let's start with the Saturday afternoon game, the Rams at the Panthers. The Rams are 10.5-point favorites on FanDuel over the Panthers right now. Josh, that is a wide spread for a playoff game, but I think it's justified. The Panthers didn't exactly push their way in. They needed some help after losing it. They're 8-9 on the season. The Rams, they're a legit Super Bowl contender. They have been all season long. Matt Stafford's used to these types of games. They are going to Carolina. That's the key of this thing, though. The Panthers, because they won their division, they get to host a playoff game. But give me the Rams, and heck, I'll even take the 10.5 points. I think the Rams win by a lot.
There are 4 teams in this wild card round who are home underdogs.
Wow.
The Panthers are the only one I'm not picking because they're facing the Rams. And the Rams have beaten better teams in worse situations. So, yeah, I'm going with the Rams, too, even with the points. I'll take them with 10.5. I think this could be a really tough day for Carolina because I'm trying to figure out how Carolina tries to even match up with the Rams offense. They got Devontae Adams back. You know what Puka Nacua is going to do. They can run the ball. Sean McVay's teams, they know how to throw, but they can run the ball, too. I think the Rams give the Panthers everything they can handle and then some. It's going to be a hard day. I got the Rams.
I'm right with you there. Let's move right along in our picks here. Saturday night football in the NFL. The Packers at the Bears. The Packers are 1.5-point favorites in this game. But give me the Bears, Josh. I really like their ability to score. I think their defense is nasty enough. I think the Packers are a bit out of gas. I think they're a bit too hurt up. And I think if this was a healthy Packers team, maybe. But they're in Chicago. Chicago's playing good football. Green Bay, I think, has hit a bit of a struggle bus here. I think the Bears win this one outright.
The Packers are coming in just limping figuratively and literally. And the Bears, I give the Bears so much credit, not just to Ben Johnson, their head coach. They built this team to play in games like these, where they can rely on their defense to make plays, where they can run the ball. And they can run the ball. They can do a lot of things well on offense. They completely rebuilt that interior offensive line to be able to run the ball. This is a game Chicago was built to win, even as a home underdog, which is crazy to me. So I'm taking the Bears.
Like we see an eye to eye there. Let's keep it moving here. The Bills at the Jaguars, a very exciting matchup. I'm ready to sit down and see 1 p.m. kickoff. The Bills are 1.5-point favorites on the road against a Jaguars team that has been interesting to watch this year for sure. The Jaguars won the AFC South. They're 13-4. Trevor Lawrence is tough. The Bills, though, right behind them at 12-5. Josh, you said you picked every other home underdog. Did you pick the Jaguars to beat the Bills?
I'm trying to figure out why the Jaguars aren't favored in this game.
Ooh.
I can't figure it out. I'm going Jacksonville.
Okay.
I hate to say it. This is not the same kind of Bills team we've seen over the last 3 or 4 years. It's just not built the way the Bills teams that we've seen recently. They are running the ball more with James Cook, and I'm grateful for that because that's one thing that I wanted them to do. Their defense doesn't look the same. This passing game doesn't look the same. Josh Allen's still Josh Allen, but a lot of the surrounding parts aren't the same. I don't know why Jacksonville's not favored as the home team. I got the Jaguars.
Okay. Before I give my pick in this game, I finally found a way to get through and find out the picks. It was so tricky to get to.
Oh,
shout out to the winners here. We have dual winners. We have K. Vesey and N. Sprizzle. Both had 186 correct picks on the season. You are the Locked On Steelers Pick'em League with over 350 participants all season long. Blitzburg, you came in third. You were competing all year long. Kirby, Fanatical Universe, Rim, Steel City Pick'em, Jenna Harner, and Tommy Hands all tied for fourth place. Appreciate everyone who participated. I was a lowly I'm so far back I can't even find my rank in this. So congrats to everyone there. Sorry it took me so long. It was a little trickier than it should have been, ESPN, but we got there. But back to my pick.
I heard that mumble with Jenna's name when you read it. I heard that.
I was like, Jenna.
Okay. All right.
Always beating me, and this is stupid. But anyways, I just get mad when Jenna wins. I can't let it happen. But we're gonna win the bracket challenge. That's what we're gonna do right here.
Okay. All right.
But I'm going with the Bills, man. I know what you're saying about the Jaguars. I think the Jaguars have a better roster, but this is a time. It's Josh Allen's time, man. I think
I could be wrong about that. Yeah, he could do Josh Allen things. You're not wrong.
I think he rocks. I think that he throws some big plays. I do think the Bills will eventually get stopped at some point this year, but I don't think it'll be this game. I think the Bills find a way to win. It'll be a close one down to the wire, but give me Josh Allen in Jacksonville finding them answers.
You make a good point. Josh Allen is still Josh Allen. There were some games the Bills where there is no reason why they should have won some of the games they won, and they won them because of Josh Allen. You bring up a good point.
I appreciate you. Now, let's get back to the rest of the picks here from FanDuel. The Niners visit the Eagles. The Eagles are 4.5-point favorites in this one. Josh, the Niners have done a really good job managing all the injuries that they've had this season to get to this point. They finished third in their division, tied with the Rams at 12-5, lost out because of a tiebreaker in common games. But I think they're a little too hurt up for this Eagles team. I like the Eagles dominating the trenches in this one. I think that they push guys around. That's what wins the day. And the Niners are bounced from the playoffs. What say you?
Even if Fred Warner does his best Spider-Man impersonation and climbs his way up the side of the building and lands on the field, I still don't think they win this game. I'm with you. The 49. You saw that video, right?
Yeah. That guy's a freak.
Absolutely, just genetic freak. Like, it's insane. But to your point, this is a 49ers roster that's just, you look at what they've done, and I know a lot of people love to talk about what Kyle Shanahan's done. Is this his best coaching job? It might be. Just say it. Might be his best coaching job. That said, this is another situation where Philly's just built to win a game like this. They're built to take advantage of a roster that's just beat up and that's just lacking in quality bodies as San Francisco's is right now. This is one of those times where I can see Philly just completely stomping them into the mud. So, yeah, I got the Eagles.
Got the Eagles there winning at home. Also an East Coast team, probably in the cold, facing a West Coast team.
That too.
That you want to go. We got another one of those coming up here. That's the Sunday afternoon game at 4:30. This is the Sunday night game at 8 o'clock. The Patriots host the Chargers. The Patriots 3.5-point favorites over the Chargers in this one. Josh, you're smiling here. Do you got an upset in the works?
I have the upset in the works. I have multiple reasons behind it.
Okay.
Number one, the Patriots are 14-3, correct?
Yes.
Where did all three of their losses occur?
Let's click real quick so I can see that. Their three losses were versus the Raiders at home, versus the Steelers at home, and versus the Bills at home. Very interesting.
At home. All three of their losses were at home.
Wow.
That's one reason why. Reason number two, I'm leaning on history in this game. Historically speaking, when a West Coast team plays a game at night, regardless of where it's located, the West Coast team wins 68% of the time.
Whoa.
And for you people who talk about the NFL is rigged, this might be the biggest arrow in your quiver to make that case, because this feels like this was set up for an upset to happen. Everything is stacking Chargers right now. I got the Chargers in this game. I think that's the big upset in the first round is Chargers knocking out the Patriots in prime time.
I actually like the Chargers too. I think not only are the Patriots, yeah, man. I look at the Patriots, man. I don't believe them. I'm sorry. And listen, they did a good job early in the season. They edged out the Bills 23-20. But you look at a lot of their wins: the Panthers, the Saints, the Titans, the Browns, the Falcons, the Bucks, the Jets, the Bengals, the Giants. They did beat the Patriots. They did beat the Ravens, and that was a helpful thing for the Steelers. But the Jets, the Dolphins, their two wins that I think are legit: Ravens, Bills. But I think that this is a team that's ready to be got, and I think that this Chargers team, when you look at how they played this season, they're aggressive on defense. They can get after you. They have playmakers. Justin Herbert, I think, has been reminding people of why he's a franchise guy. He takes hits. He's tough. He's physical. He can get the ball out deep. Yes, they did lose their last two games heading in, but they rested guys in the last one. But before that, they had won 7 of their previous 8, including their win over the Steelers. Give me the Chargers to walk in there and get the dub in New England. We both have them there. I think we're matching everywhere but Bills, Jaguars so far.
I was convinced you'd take the Patriots. I'm shocked at that. Wow.
So with that being said, we got to get to the game that everyone's talking about. Monday Night Football, Steelers at Texans. The Texans started out the week at 3.5-point favorites. They're now 3-point favorites with a money line of -164. The Steelers money line +138. The over-under is at 38.5 points. Josh, I am not going to give my prediction here because I'm going to save that for the Monday show with Jenna Harner. But I want you to give your prediction. Why do the Steelers? And before you do, give us your X factor to the game, how you see this game playing out, and then your final score prediction.
X factor to the game. It's too easy to say history is the X factor of the game because we all know the stats now. We know what the Steelers do at home on Monday night. We know what that record is. We know how that goes. The X factor in this game for me, I believe, will be Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers will make enough plays. And I'm going to point back to this again. I'm going to point back to this Baltimore game. I think he will make enough plays. I think we found in 2 games without DK Metcalf, and Aaron Rodgers has been doing this thing where he'll struggle at some point during the season and he'll figure something out and then he'll adjust. And he'll struggle and figure something out and adjust. I think he's figured out what he needs to do in order to beat certain defenses with this passing game. He'll make just enough plays to take advantage of a Texans mistake or two, and I think that's what's going to win in the game. So I think Aaron Rodgers will be the X factor. Will probably be a close game where it may come down to 1 or 2 plays. But I do have the Steelers in this game. I talked about how everything points to the Chargers with that matchup with the Patriots. It's the same thing. Monday Night Football, it's a home game. The Steelers are a home underdog. They do well as a home underdog under Mike Tomlin. All these things add up. And these two defenses, and we talked about this at the top of the show, about this being a possible advantage for the Steelers to play this kind of game. It's the same situation I feel with the Chargers and the Patriots. It all just seems to line up how it just seems to be something that a game that, at least in my mind, I see a path variable pointing towards the Steelers. So I will take the Steelers in this one, especially as a home underdog.
There you have it. Josh Taylor takes the Steelers. If you want to see my pick, Jenna Harner's pick, be sure to tune into the Monday episode of the Locked On Steelers podcast. And a reminder, I'm going to do my best to do a bonus episode either Saturday or Sunday that comes out where we take on your questions about the Steelers heading into this playoff game. Be sure to call our call-in number at 412-223-6644. Again, that's 412-223-6644. When you call the number, leave your name, where you're from, keep your question under a minute, and you have a chance to get on the show. Josh, thanks so much for joining us here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. Let people that can find you, follow you, and get more of your work.
Social media, just about anywhere you look, Josh Taylor HD. That's where you're going to find me. That's the easiest way to do it. As far as the work I do these days, and first of all, I got to give a shout out to Jessica Gray, who her husband Ryan just had a beautiful baby boy. Shout out to them and baby Mario, just born, I believe, on Tuesday. Because of that, I will be filling in for Jess on the anchor desk on KDKA TV News at 7:30 and then at 10 on KDKA Plus for the next handful of months. So Monday through Friday, 7:30 KDKA, 10 o'clock KDK Plus. That's where you'll find me.
That brother is busy. Keep doing your thing, Josh. Keep doing your thing, Josh Taylor.
Still not as busy as you, though.
Maybe you will be busier than me soon. But but thank you, Josh, for joining us here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. Thank you all for joining me here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. It's a pleasure to host this show and to interact with many people that enjoy this show. Appreciate all of you out there. Reminder, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. I always have the same handle everywhere I go, at Carter Critiques. You can read my work in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette by going to post-gazette.com. You can find me here on the Locked On Steelers podcast every day, Monday through Friday, breaking down your Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll be back here this weekend with a bonus episode. Again, 412-223-6644. Call, leave your name, where you're from, keep your question under a minute. We'll try to get your question on the show. See you here on the Locked On Steelers podcast.